Detailed accounts from the new book Regime Change by Maggie Haberman and Jonathan Swan have pulled back the curtain on the internal mechanics of the White House, revealing the specific logic behind some of its most controversial proposals. According to the leaks, JD Vance once presented a plan to immediately freeze the front lines in Ukraine by bringing in an international force of peacekeepers. The difficulty was that using soldiers from NATO allies would be seen by the Kremlin as a direct Western intervention, likely triggering a wider war. To solve this, Vance suggested the U.S. ask India to deploy its own military to secure the borders instead. It was a serious attempt to break a diplomatic stalemate by tapping into the military weight of a nation that wasn't officially taking sides in the conflict. When Vance finished the pitch, Trump reportedly laughed the idea out of the room. His rejection wasn't based on military logistics or the risk to the soldiers. It was based on his own psychological profile of the country in question. Trump dismissed the idea because he believes Indians don't pay, arguing that the government in New Delhi would never provide such a massive military favor without demanding something of even greater value in return. This interaction suggests a specific operational style, one where global strategy is determined by personal, transactional intuition rather than traditional diplomatic protocols. This is an unusual stance for Trump, given that he has maintained a consistently positive personal rapport with Prime Minister Modi. That stands in stark contrast to how he treats other world leaders. For example, Emmanuel Macron. He has repeatedly insulted the leadership of Canada, as well as the Prime Minister of Italy. India currently holds a $38 billion trade surplus over the U.S., a number Trump views as a direct extraction of American wealth. His primary economic goal is to see these trade barriers fall until that surplus is entirely eliminated. In this framework, long-term strategic cooperation is secondary to immediate, measurable financial gains for the U.S. We see this same reliance on personal instinct in an anecdote involving Elon Musk and the global supply chain. Musk warned that because the U.S. is so dependent on Taiwan for semiconductor chips, a Chinese invasion would effectively cripple the American military. Trump reportedly brushed aside the warning, citing a personal promise from Xi Jinping that he would not move on Taiwan. Trump even admitted that Xi might be lying, yet he still preferred to trust that personal handshake over the data in his intelligence briefings. Choosing personal rapport over strategic data makes U.S. foreign policy highly dependent on the stability of individual relationships. Most foreign policy is built on decades of precedent and slow-moving institutional consensus. Trump, by contrast, operates on a frequency of high-stakes, real-time instinct. Facing what he sees as his final term, he is focused on immediate legacy wins, often bypassing long-term Indo-Pacific strategies or the advice of his own cabinet. This strategy can secure quick concessions, but it carries a significant risk. If a foreign leader calls his bluff, there is no institutional safety net left to catch the fallout. This shift in American behavior forces every other nation to rewrite their own playbooks, to account for a superpower that no longer follows the old rules. Some nations have adapted by simply slowing the game down. They've learned that the most effective way to handle a transactional leader is to refuse to be rushed. India, for example, has spent years stalling U.S. demands for agricultural access, refusing to sign a rushed trade deal that doesn't meet their specific terms. It's a level of patience that countries like Japan and South Korea didn't maintain, having rushed into agreements that they are now struggling to navigate. By refusing to yield, India is ironically validating Trump's original instinct that they are, in his own words, a very tough negotiator.